Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I am super excited to share with all of you my first impressions of Merit Beauty. So Merit Beauty is a minimalist makeup brand that you can find at Sephora, and they are known for their 5-minute makeup routine, so just the basic products you need for an everyday look that you can throw on in a few minutes. And for today's video, I have one of each of their products with the exception of their mascara. So I'm very excited to share with all of you my initial impressions of this brand and a full face using their products. So if you're interested in learning more about Merit Beauty, then just stick around. So first off, I have to say I am very excited about this video because this is my first ever time actually getting any makeup gifted. So this video is not sponsored. I haven't been paid anything from the brand, but they did send me these products, which is really awesome because I have been interested in trying Merit Beauty for a while. They've been on my wish list, and so when they reached out to me and asked if they could send me some products, I was incredibly excited. So as you guys know, I am a very small YouTube channel, and up until this point, I had never had any brand really reach out to me, and I always figured that the first few brands that reached out would probably be, brands I never heard about that I would have to do a lot of research about. So I was really surprised and impressed when Merit reached out just because I've seen a lot of positive reviews of their products on YouTube. I've seen their products in store at Sephora. So this is a brand that I actually knew about and that I've been wanting to try out. So I am really excited that I'm able to try out their full line for you guys today. As it currently stands, I don't really make any money off of my YouTube channel, so it's really exciting to be able to have some makeup sent to me so I can share it with all of you guys. So now I'm going to quickly run through these products. First off, I have 2 of their Complexion sticks. So this is a foundation concealer combo. This is what the outside packaging looks like, very minimalist. And then you just pull off this top, and this is what the product itself looks like. And then you can use this bottom part to screw it up or down. So I got this in the shade Sand and also in the shade Amber. Sand is hopefully going to be my actual skin tone shade, but I also wanted to pick up a deeper shade to use as bronzer. I've been eyeing the Rare Beauty bronzing stick for a while, and that product has been sold out for the longest time. So I was really excited to pick this up in a darker shade to see if it could maybe dupe that bronzer effect. The packaging and shape of this product definitely reminds me a little bit of that bronzing stick, so we'll see if it gives me a similar effect. Next, we have their Tinted Brow Gel, which is called Brow 1980, and I got this in shade Brown. For the cheeks, I have this Flush Balm in the shade Terracotta. And this is actually the product that I was most excited to try out because I have seen some really positive reviews of this product. And also, I'm always on the hunt for a good brown-based cream blush for an everyday basis. So very excited to try this guy out. Also for the cheeks, we have this highlighting balm. I got this in the shade Cava, which is their lighter shade. This packaging definitely reminds me a lot of the M Cosmetics So Soft line. Not really my favorite style of packaging, but I guess it fits the minimalist aesthetic. And then finally, we have their shade Slick, which is their tinted lip oil. And I got this in shade Au Naturel because I am really trying to do a very everyday friendly, go to work sort of makeup look with these sorts of products. So without further ado, let's put these products on my face. So let's start out with this Complexion stick in Sand, and I really hope this is the right shade for me. I actually watched several videos just trying to figure out whether this would be a good shade for me, and okay, I think that's looking pretty good. And here also is an arm swatch, so maybe a little bit deeper than this side of my arm, but I think it's a decent enough match for my face. Possibly a little bit dark for concealer, but I think it's pretty good as an overall complexion shade. And let me just first try blending this out with my fingers. Okay, this is blending quite easily. I'm always very skeptical of products that claim to be 2 things, so this being both foundation and concealer. is kind of interesting. I'll have to see if it really can be built up to be a concealer. My guess is that probably if you want higher coverage, you would need to go in with a designated concealer. It is really creamy though, and very easy to blend out with a finger, which I love, because if I am doing just everyday, 5-minute makeup, it better be blendable without any brushes or sponges. Okay, there we go. So here is the product on this side of my face and nothing on this side. And I would say that I think it gives a really nice light coverage. You can definitely see my blemishes still poking through, but it has certainly evened out my skin tone. And I think the shade is actually dead on for me. So I'm really excited about that, because I actually went to Sephora to try to really get the right shade match, but they weren't selling the Complexion products from Merit in store. So I did have to guess a little bit. Alrighty, let me now just see if I can build it up a little bit in places where I could use a little bit more coverage. Let's see how this works actually as a concealer. And there's no powder in the Merit line, so I will have to keep you guys updated in terms of how this wears, because I'm not going to powder this today. This texture kind of reminds me of the Hourglass Stick Foundation, which I've been using a decent amount recently. That's also a product I like just blending out with my fingers, since I think the warmth of my hand helps a little bit with blendability. Alright, so here we have 2 layers around the center of my face, and I think that did a pretty good job of covering up the redness around my nose and also concealing my dark circles. You can still see this blemish over here, so this is not going to give you full coverage over any blemishes, but I think this is really nice for an everyday basis. So now let me just do the other side of my face as well. It is kind of fun using this sort of like you're just finger painting on your face. So here we have the Complexion stick all over my face, and I would say that overall, currently it is very comfortable on my dry skin. I have noticed though that it is creasing a bit under the eyes and also a little bit on my lids. So it's probably not going to be my favorite concealer. In terms of being an everyday base product, so far so good, but I will keep you guys updated throughout this video. So my lips are feeling kind of dry, so I'm going to do things a little bit out of order and go ahead and put on this tinted lip oil. So here is a swatch of the product. So actually more pigmented than what I was expecting, which for me is exciting. I prefer more of a tint in my lip products. So let's see how this looks on the lips. It's very similar to my natural lip color, just slightly peachier, maybe a tad bit deeper. Alrighty, that is really pretty. Definitely au naturel, I would say, for my lip color. Very much just slightly enhanced. Upon initial application, this feels really nice on the lips. Because it's a lip oil instead of a lip gloss, it's a bit thinner, so you don't really feel like you have a thick layer of anything on the lips. It does feel very hydrating though, so I am quite a fan of it on this initial application. So now let's go in with this brow mascara. Oh, whoops, it is the other way around. Okay, interesting. So I was curious because this looked like a really big brow mascara. I guess this is the part that actually has the product, which is more sort of the typical size you see for brow mascaras. So just something to note, it's not like you actually get a ton of product. It's more like a normal amount of product. So this is what the spoolie brush looks like. Small, but still a little chubby. So now let me just run this through my brow hairs. Okay, so this one does not have any fibers in it, so if you have really sparse brows, this is not going to totally fill them in. But it is definitely adding some tint and a little bit of volume to my hairs. This brush is pretty easy to use. I'm not having any splotches land on my skin, which is always something that is a pet peeve of mine with brow mascaras. I hate it when it just kind of dyes the skin under your brows a color, and then it doesn't really look like brow hairs. All right, there we go. So here we have it on this side. Now, of course, this side is bare. So I would say the overall effect is relatively subtle. So if you have sparse areas, you probably want to go in with a pencil to fill those in. But this is laying my hairs down nicely. So now let's try it on this side. This is more of my problem brow, so we'll see how it fares. All right, again, it's doing a pretty good job of laying my brow hairs flat and also not tinting my skin. But I would say compared to some of my other brow products, it's definitely not filling in my brows as much. So overall, I would say this for me is definitely a very natural brow look. So if you don't want to look like you really have any product in your brows, then I think this is a good option to go in with. I'm gonna have to keep trying this out because normally what I do with tinted brow gels is I actually first go in with a pencil and then top it with this. And so I'm gonna have to try that out with this in order to do a fair comparison with my other brow products. So now let's go in with the Complexion stick in the shade Amber. And this is one where I really was not sure if this would be the right shade for me in terms of use as a bronzer. Quite a few of their shades were sold out, and so this was kind of my best guess amongst the ones that were still available, but let's see. So on this side, I'm gonna apply this with a finger, and then on the other side, I'm gonna try blending it in with a brush. And this does have a pretty strong caramel undertone to it, so we'll see if that works on my skin tone. All right, this is blending in very easily, so that's good. I think the depth is pretty good in terms of working as bronzer on my skin tone. I'm glad I didn't go super deep with this. I think this way it looks a little bit more natural. The tone is a little bit warmer than my preference. So yeah, maybe I don't think I should have put it here along my jawline. It's a little bit too yellowy to provide effective contour there. I think it looks a lot better on my forehead where you kind of want that sort of warm bronziness. But let's see on this side. I'll still, just to make the two sides of my face even, put some there, but going forward, I'm gonna omit that part. So now going in with my Zoeva 110 brush, let me see how this blends in with a brush. All right, this is working pretty well. Okay, this product's definitely very blendable, which is nice. Again, it's giving very much kind of a caramely hue on the skin, so I think this would be really nice in the summertime, especially when you want a bit more warmth on the skin. All right, I think that added a nice hint of dimension to my face. Just to make sure you guys can really see it though, I'm gonna add in one more layer. And again, on this side of my face, I'm gonna try it with my fingers. On most days, I would probably like to use these products with a finger, just for ease of application. All right, this is getting a little bit dark, I would say. Probably in the future, would just stop at one layer, but hopefully this helps you guys to really see that shade. And then on this side, I'm going in with a brush. I do think I prefer brush application for this bronzer portion, just because it gives a little bit more control in terms of where you're brushing out the product. I do really like how seamless this is in terms of its blend into the Complexion stick. I guess that is one of the advantages of essentially using two shades of one product for contouring or for bronzing, because that way you can be pretty sure that the formulations will be compatible. And then just because I feel like I took that down a little bit low, I'm going to go in with a little bit of that foundation again in the shade Sand, just to further chisel out my cheeks a bit. And then finally, let me also just see how this works as nose contour. And because we don't have eyeshadow today, I'm gonna take a little bit of this also just on my eyes, kind of almost as a one and done shadow, just to see how that looks. Again, we're all about minimalist makeup for this look. I think this tone is a little bit on the yellow side when it comes to using as an eyeshadow, but I guess it blends everything in with the rest of the face. And probably for the nose contour, something a little bit more cool toned would give more of that shadow effect, but this still kind of works. Alrighty, here we go. So both complexion sticks on my face. I would overall say that these were really easy to work with. This formula is very, very creamy. In terms of tone, I do wish that I had picked a shade that's a little bit less caramel in undertone, just because I feel like I wanted something that had a slightly more contouring effect. So I think a slightly more reddish undertone would have been more my jam, but the formula itself was really easy to work with. So now let's go in with this blush in the shade Terracotta. So you can just screw off the lid like that, and let me give you guys a swatch of this. So this seems to be a pretty sheer formula. Hopefully this shows up on my skin tone. Let me try applying this here. Actually, maybe I'll just apply it directly. Okay, this is one of those really, really balmy, hydrating formulas, so I feel like I'm getting almost more of a sheen rather than pigment. So on the plus side, it's giving me that really nice hydrated dewy look. But let me see if I can build it up for some more pigmentation. Okay, I guess that's all right. Yeah, for an everyday look, I think this level of pigmentation is fine. I do usually like going in with a little bit more blush just because I am a bit of a blush fiend, but for an everyday basis, I guess this is an appropriate level of pigmentation. Alrighty, here we have the blush on both cheeks. So you can see this is very, very dewy, very hydrated. So if you like that really glossy glass skin look, I think this will give it to you. For me, I am a little bit on the fence about this product. I would say that this is not really the type of formula I typically like, because I usually like a little bit more pigmentation and a little bit less of this glow. I mean, I like a dewy finish, but I'm always afraid of my hair sticking to products. And as you can see, this definitely has that issue where your hair will get stuck in it. So let's see if this dries down by the end of this video, but at least right now there is a little bit of stick to this. So now let's go in with this highlighting balm, and I'm a little bit scared because I normally don't like these kinds of products. I don't think I've ever tried a highlighting balm that I like, and right now my cheeks are already kind of sticky, so we'll see how this goes. Let me just go in with a finger first, and actually, let me give you guys a swatch. Okay, this is also a very emollient formula. I don't know if you guys can even really see that in swatch. Hopefully you can see a little bit of that shine. But let's just try applying some of this to the high points. Okay, yeah, I think this would be better over something a little bit less sticky. I just feel like I'm adding kind of stick on stick right now. But the finish is pretty. I think it is adding a little bit more highlight, which is great. It's surprisingly not really picking up the blush underneath, which is good. I was a little worried about that. So I think this does add a nice bit of extra glow and dimension. Similar to the blush though, this has a very dewy, wet finish. So I do feel like my cheeks are a little bit sticky at the moment, which personally is not my favorite sensation. So I'm gonna have to try this out sometime, maybe with either a powder product or with a cream or liquid blush that really settles down more. I think putting this on top of this guy over here is a little bit overkill unless you just really, really want those very glossy cheeks. Alrighty, so here we have the final look, a full face of Merit Beauty. What do you guys think? So I've taken some time to look more closely at my face and let these products really settle in. So now let's run through my overall first impressions of Merit Beauty. So on the whole, I would say that I really enjoyed this look that I created today. It was really simple and easy to put together and really perfect for just an everyday no makeup look. I think if you are into clean beauty and minimalist makeup, Merit Beauty is definitely a great brand to check out. In terms of these products more specifically, let's run through them from my favorite to least favorite, at least upon these initial impressions. So first off, I'm very surprised to say this, but after letting all the products really settle in, I actually think that the brow gel is my favorite product. So when I first put this on, it looked nice, but it wasn't really necessarily doing my brows a lot of favors. But now that it's dried down, I think it actually looks really, really good. So I feel like it's really put my brows into a nice shape, but without just making them really flat against the skin. They still have some fluffiness and multidimensionality to them. And then I actually think now that it's dried down, because of that slight additional volume that it's provided, the sparse areas in my brows now look more filled in, even though there aren't any fibers. So I'm actually quite surprised and impressed. I'm gonna have to keep trying out this product and also probably pair it with some brow pencils. But actually, upon initial impressions, this is really, really nice. One of my favorite brow looks that I've done so far this year. Next up, we have the Complexion Stick in Sand. So I really liked how easy this product was to blend into the skin using just my fingers, and it's very comfortable on my skin, which for me is really important because I have fairly dry skin, and so for me, especially on an everyday basis, I need a complexion product that isn't going to exacerbate that. I feel like this is really hydrating on the skin. If anything, it might be slightly too hydrating. I do think that if I put this all over the face like I did today, I probably would want a tiny bit of powder along my T-zone. But at least so far, I am enjoying the overall dewy glow that it gives my skin. This shade Sand is also just a really great match for me. I would say though, I would mostly use this as a replacement for a skin tint rather than using it as a replacement for concealer, just because I do feel like it creases a decent amount around the eye area, especially if you don't set that area. I definitely have some other concealers that crease less. I think that's understandable given that this is supposed to be worn all over your face, but I did want to call that out in case you're someone who more so just goes in with concealer and no foundation on an everyday basis. In terms of the shade Amber, I do think this formulation is really excellent if you want something that is sort of a natural looking bronzing stick. I think I messed up a bit in terms of the shade that I got. I wish I got one with a little bit more of a reddish undertone. But the effect it gives in terms of this formulation blending into the lighter shade, it looks really beautiful, exceptionally easy to blend in, very, very user-friendly. And so if you're a fan of bronzing sticks, I do think it's worth trying out a darker shade of this formulation. And I have not tried the Rare Beauty bronzing stick, but at least upon today's application and comparing it to some videos of that product, I do feel like it leaves kind of a similar effect in terms of being super easy to blend into the skin, super creamy. So at least for my purposes, I'm telling myself that this is a dupe for that, so I don't need to pick up that bronzing stick. My next favorite product was this lip oil. So I really like this shade on my lips for an everyday basis. I think this is really just a slightly enhanced version of my natural lip color. When I first applied this on my lips, it was very hydrating and juicy. Now that it's been maybe half an hour since then, the formulation has definitely dried down a bit, so I would say it's less hydrating than it was at the beginning. But I like that it has a really lightweight feel on the lips, so if I rub my lips together, it just feels very smooth, almost like I just put on some chapstick. I'll have to keep you guys updated on this though, because I am pretty picky with my lip products and I find a lot of them feel good at the beginning, but you know, by the end of the day, don't necessarily. I have high hopes about this just based on my impressions so far, but we'll have to see how this fares throughout the day. The two products though that I'm not sure if I'll get much use out of are these two cheek products. So in particular, I was really excited about this blush, but I'm just not a huge fan of these like very lightly pigmented blushes that are really juicy on the skin. This effect really reminds me a lot of the M Cosmetics Color Drop Serum blushes. So if you like those, you will probably love this. Personally, I was not a big fan of that formulation though, because I found that in order to build up the pigment, I really needed to add a lot of layers. And then by that point, my cheeks were just really glowy and slightly sticky. And I think a similar effect is true with this formulation. It looks really good if you want that very glowy cheek look. So if you're into that, definitely pick this up. For me though, I generally prefer more of a satin and sometimes even matte finish to my blushes. And so this level of glow and dew is a little bit out of my comfort zone. I wish that this were just a little bit more pigmented so you could use a small amount and just get a hint of dew instead of having it be so dewy. I do like the shade though. I think the shade Terracotta is a very excellent everyday flush. It doesn't make you look like you're really blushing. It just makes you look like you've seen some sun. Let me see now if my hair still sticks to this product. Okay, it's settling down a little bit, but there is still definitely some stick. So I have this problem a lot with these sorts of cream blushes. So if you're a huge cream blush fan, this might not be a problem for you. But for me, I don't know that I'll actually use this much. And then finally, we have this highlighting stick. And for context, I have never found a highlighting stick I like, including the Westman Atelier Nectar highlighting stick. This actually reminds me a lot of that product. Both of them have a really nice sheer natural highlight, really pretty on the skin, but they are just kind of sticky. They never really set down fully. Your hair kind of gets a little stuck in them. So yeah, I mean, if you really like the Westman Atelier highlighting sticks, you might like this product as well. This might be like a more affordable dupe for that. But if you're like me and you generally don't like those sorts of cream balmy highlights, then this is definitely in that same category and is not going to change your mind. So that's it for my initial impressions of Merit Beauty. I would say there are some products that were definite hits, some products I need to still test out more, and some products that are just not really the kind of products that I like. I would say overall, all of the products are really good quality. It's more of a matter if you like that kind of style. If you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you know that generally I tend to err on the side of slightly less minimalist makeup. I do like my pigmentation and my shine in my makeup products. But on an everyday basis, I do go for pretty simple makeup looks. So I'm excited to try to incorporate some of these into my everyday routine, and I'll keep you guys updated in my monthly roundups in terms of how my opinions of these products evolve over time. So thank you all so much for joining me in today's video, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear in the comments below if you guys have tried Merit Beauty before, and if so, what your thoughts were about their products. And more generally, what do you guys think about clean beauty and minimalist beauty? I am not a clean beauty channel or a minimalist beauty channel, so this is usually not the direction I go in. But that said, I have been trying out a lot of products in this genre lately. Like I have a video about LYS Beauty, and I have a video about Kosas as well. That might be coming out a little bit later, even though I filmed it before this. But I do find myself trying a lot of brands in this sort of genre. So definitely let me know if you guys have favorite brands or products in this area, and I'll keep my eyes out for those. And finally, thanks again to Merit Beauty for gifting me these products. Given how small my channel is, I was so excited when they reached out. So even though some of their products were not quite my jam, I am really appreciative to the brand for sending me these to try out. So thanks again for joining me today, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!